This is very Idham Henyansia, also known as Ryan, the singing serial killer. Ryan rose to fame because of the nature of his gruesome murders. Ryan's childhood mainly consisted of growing up in a boarding school full of very pious boys in Indonesia. However, soon he started exhibiting his feminine-like behavior and actually grew up to become a religious teacher. He took a fancy to a man who rejected his advances, invited the man to his house for a meal, which he turned down. And in a fit of anger and needing to unleash on someone, Ryan invited one of his neighbors over instead and actually hit him on the back of his head, and the neighbor died immediately. And this is where his killing spree began. Soon moved to Jakarta, where his sexual orientation was little more welcomed, and that's where he met his lover, Novel Andreas. Ryan had a friend named Harry Santoso who noticed Andreas' picture on the wallpaper of Ryan's mobile and immediately asked to meet him. He even offered Ryan money to get Andreas in bed with him. Driven by jealousy, Ryan grabbed a kitchen knife and attacked Harry with it, and soon moved on to cut up his body into 7 pieces before stuffing it into a suitcase and tossing his body parts along the road of Jakarta. Although he calls Andreas to confess about what he had just done, both of them decide to keep the murder a secret and instead went on a spending spree with Harry's money and withdrew all the money in his bank. Meanwhile, police received reports of the body parts and were fast on trail about the identity of the mutilated body. With an ATM receipt, they were able to discover that it was the body of Harry Santoso, and with CCTVs around ATMs, they were able to track down Ryan and Andreas. Ryan was quick to confess about the murder, but he was surprisingly calm about it, which kinda made the police suspect that this is not the first time he might have killed someone. They opened up cases of recent missing persons and started putting 2 and 2 together, and they saw the case of Ariel Somba. A witness had stated that Ariel was indeed last seen with Ryan going to Surabaya, and upon more questioning, Ryan confessed that he had murdered Ariel solely motivated by money and had buried him in his village house. The police dug up his body and ended up finding 3 other bodies, and soon discovered 10 other bodies within the premises of Ryan's home. Believed that most of these victims were murdered by Ryan for their money, but his victims also involved a woman who had apparently tried to seduce him. Ryan had beaten the woman and a child with a metal bar, the mother for trying to seduce him and the child for being a witness. He was sentenced to death on April 6, 2009, guilty for the 11 murders. However, in his time in jail, Ryan soon turned to his creative endeavors of singing and even released a pop album. He's said to be very devout, and his music is often expressing remorse for his crimes. In October 2010, he announced that he was planning to marry a female convicted drug dealer whom he had met in 2008 when they were both detained at the Jakarta Police Narcotics Detention Center, for he wanted to fulfill his mother's desire of Ryan marrying a woman. Ryan has appealed a couple of times for his death sentence to be changed to a life sentence, and he even talks about how he wants to attempt kifarat, where he has to fast 2 months for each of every life he has taken. Don't use your religion in vain, Ryan.